there came to the forefront of many colonial leaders the idea that Britain might indeed resort to military force to carry this out. After all, the whole purpose of the Stamp Act to begin with had been to pay for a professional British Army to be stationed in America to help enforce the Stamp Act, and therefore the purpose of the British Army had also been to enforce the trade and manufacturing regulations. And so basically, if the British were already thinking in military terms when they passed the Stamp Act, it was very likely that they were going to be thinking in military terms in responding to this resistance to the Stamp Act. And to this end, the Sons of Liberty began to evolve their role from one of merely bringing pressure on local officials to actually forming a network which would help be the backbone of the resistance to British rule in America here. Because several colonial governments were now handicapped by their inability to enforce the Stamp Act, because of the public pressure, the Sons of Liberty began to become a sort of de facto governing body in a couple colonies. Basically, the colonial government could only operate in certain ways with the support and the assent of the Sons of Liberty. And the Sons of Liberty chapters in the different states began to contact each other. They began to establish committees of correspondence whereby private communication would be established as part of a resistance network throughout the colonies. Most notably in December 1765, the New York and Connecticut Sons of Liberty chapters met in New London, Connecticut, and ratified an agreement of mutual military aid against any armed invasion by the British. And so here, the Sons of Liberty are already thinking in military terms. They're starting to organize a resistance that could become military if the need arose. And the fact that this starts so early is very key, because even though it's a British military response is going to take some time before it arrives, it's going to lay the groundwork for an effective colonial resistance in a mere 10 years, as we will see. Military pledges were made throughout the colonies. Colonial militia leaders, the colonies had militias already to deal with local emergencies. It was a part-time armed force. Basically, if you were a man between certain ages and you didn't have any significant disabilities like a missing arm or a missing leg or something like that, you were expected to have your gun and to take part in the colonial militia and to help defend against these local emergencies. Usually these local emergencies took the form of Indian attacks, or if there was a particularly troublesome band of outlaws that was causing problems for travelers and traders in the countryside, the militia would come to take care of that situation. The militias had played a role in the French and Indian War, albeit not as big a one as the British Army did, but they had played a role. And so self-defense was something that the American colonists were not, it was not new to them, so to speak. Basically, all this did was that the colonial militias were now beginning to get in contact with each other and starting to work together to correspond and present a more united front as a result.